Okay. So I'm gonna pray that this reaches who it needs to reach. And if it doesn't, that's probably because I might have said the wrong things. Because I was told I wasn't going to be prompted. I just have to step out in faith. Or because of the other thing that I forgot. Anyways, maybe this is for the fibromyalgia people out there. Otherwise, I have no clue what I'm supposed to talk about. Maybe the chronic pain people out there. There's a couple of things. First off, I'm Benjamin, and I love breaking Benjamin in the most bittersweet possible way ever. And then looking back on my life and all this bittersweet, kind of cool, kind of sad songs makes you wonder what it's all about. But that's a different topic. Anyways, hi, I'm Benjamin, and I lived the most selfish life ever up until I really, really, really couldn't even endure enough pain to keep doing that. Sorry. Basically, I was locked in, even in the pain, for like 5 years, hoping that it'd get better while I lived my selfish life, while I watched porn, while I watched anime and played video games and all of the selfish things and lived for myself. Gosh, I need to blow my nose and I can't breathe. Anyways. Basically, I feel like God is waiting for you to stop depending on yourself and living that life, or one of either. And how I know this is because that's what happened to me. Is I was depending on myself, hoping things would get better, hoping money would solve the issue, and I could go back to my selfish living, and just have God bless me to some degree or other. But I was never all in, as much as I thought I sort of liked Jesus and God my whole life. I never was like fully. I never died to my flesh, ever. I didn't even know what that was. I think I did when I was a kid, and then ever since that childhood wound, yada yada, drugs, coping, porn, it just immediately the devil sidetracked me into selfish coping land for my entire life, like 25 years. And until I forgot who I truly was, because I don't remember what I was like when I was a kid, before it all happened. But here I was at age 30, reaching a stopping point. 25, it started to creep in, this mysterious pain, and I kept with it, just like, hey, I don't have emotional pain anymore. This is great. Which is wild, because that's what I said to myself right before it started to creep in. Yeah, and at the same time took away the inner pain. Because I told myself, hey, like, I'd rather have any type of outer pain than this bullshit. I've reached a point where I can't even like it, like a weird teenager being all like, I like the inner pain. Like, I was past that point, and I was just like, I hate this. I don't want to feel this, basically a heartache feeling. Like, this is, gosh, awful. Anyways, long story short, that seems to be the start of it, and I reached my wall. My wall was in Kansas City, where I was It was no longer a joke, which is why I went to Kansas City. It was no longer funny or tolerable. It was no longer anything. There was no longer escape through sleep. I woke up in a cold, scary sweat, and I was just like, just Jesus, please help me, please help me, please help me, please get just please, for the love of God, help me. And that was the beginning of my wall. And then for like 3 months, I did this Israel sort of test that I heard online about hyperbaric chamber. And that made my mom go 40K in debt, and it didn't help at all. And before we left, like a day maybe before we left, I prayed about like, hey, I also asked churches, prayer warriors, when I was there. I called in line and had prayer warriors pray for me for 30 days. Maybe that helped establish a connection, but put me on his radar or something. But I was, I was pouring out my heart, saying anything and everything to every degree, shape, way, and form, saying, hey, I would, right before I say that, I'll say that there's a tale of two wolves. One's, and then they're fighting each other, and one's light and hope, and the other one is darkness and despair. And whichever one you feed, wins. That's the answer to that tale of who wins. And so before you give up, maybe have a little patience, like that AC/DC song goes, or maybe it's and so it took a day, and I even felt like Jesus and God were so far away. I felt like I was just, like maybe he doesn't even care about me or something. And I said, like, I was in a top story of a hotel, and I was like, hey, like looking at the sort of forest nearby that was on the edge of Kansas City, and I was just like, if you, like, I bet, like, if I prayed for like some animals to come out, you wouldn't even have to come out for me, And when I looked away and stuff, my mom was just like, hey, look, there's deer. They're coming out of like, there's like a family of deer coming out towards like the parking lot of all things, But anyways, on our way home, and I was like, great, I'm gonna have a shitty, awful hurt locker of a road trip, and whatever. But before I even got negative and thought those thoughts and adjusted to that new experience, I was like, kind of, I'm not feeling any pain. Interesting, I'm still not feeling any pain. I'm like, this is kind of great, And so God honored my promise that I would rather fight two wolves. I would rather fight anything. I'd rather walk 1,000 miles in the middle of the night in the cold of winter. I'd rather get sick. I'd rather get injured. I'd rather do anything that is temporarily uncomfortable and unfun, if he would heal me. And, because nothing is as bad as that, So I was like, that's a fair trade, And he honored that. He honored it, and I think that's my best advice. And if you need a little patience, remember to feed the light wolf of hope and not despair, and have a little patience. And if you didn't hit your wall yet, that really, really sucks. To hit it or not hit it, but the nice part is that he seems to be on the other side at the top of the wall. And I hope that this message is actually useful for somebody, or and I'm sorry for anybody out there who's going through that, and I'll pray for you and pray that this reaches who it needs to. This is Benjamin. Peace out.